Good morning, lovely people. I'm just looking at the clock. It's 1 minute past noon. Good afternoon, lovely people. How are you all doing today? I really hope you're well. Gosh, where to start with today's chat? It's like things are coming to a head, so I thought, yeah, let's have a little chat today. All to do with this move. I'm coming to you from the end of my bed because the flat is a state. I mean, I say it's a state. None of it is rubbish, none of it is clutter. It's all just jobs that are in the process of either being done or waiting to be done. And actually, the state of the flat is... This video is going to be in a few parts, not a few parts as in a number of different videos, but little different strains of thought. But all of what's going on in the flat at the moment, it's been precipitating these thoughts I've been having recently, all to do with the house move. Actually, you know what I might do? I'm going to give you a quick squiz around the flat so you can see what it's looking like at the moment, and then when I'm talking about stuff, you'll know what I'm referring to. So come on, let's have a quick little nosy to see the madness that's going on at the moment, that's always going on. It's the way it looks today, I'll just say now, is it's probably a little bit more than normal, but it's quite often like this. And then, for example, if I have a visit like I had Richard and Paul and Mark come over the other day, God, that's like nearly 2 weeks ago now, time flies. On those days, I try and kind of shove things out of the way as best as possible to try and have a more calm environment. Anyway, let me show you what I'm talking about. It's a beautifully bright day, by the way, isn't it? So yeah, let me show you. Take you round in this. I mean, goodness me. Oh, good grief. Over here in the window, this is all stuff that I need to parcel up and get to my sister. Random piles of books in places. These are my own personal books, but they're going soon. Behind the sofa, is light going to be a bit tricky? Behind the sofa, this is all shop stock. Sorry, is that panning too fast? Behind the bed, that's all packaging materials. Underneath the bed, there's bubble wrap and more packaging materials and suitcases full of old clothes, my vintage linens. This is my little sanctuary in the chaos. My huge pile of cushions, my book, and my reading light. That's what I was doing last night. And these have just arrived. I'll talk about some more vintage linens. Yay! Another pile to be posted. Oh, the extension cable is still out because that then goes over to my desk when I bring... Sometimes I bring the computer in here when I'm doing shop stuff. Rather than leaving the computer in the kitchen. That is a basket. It's a beautiful basket. I was going to put that in the shop, but for now it's got a ton of the vintage notions and bits and pieces I was talking about, so that's a job to get on with. That's a basket full of my seeds and bits and pieces. That needs a sort out. Cardboard crushed, ready to go to the allotment. Some bits and bobs on the chair. This is another video. And these. You might not have seen this if you haven't been watching on, but these are my... I don't know if they'll show in this light. Let me turn them on. These are my little sparkly... Will they show with this? Yeah. My little twinkly fairy lights. Watering can fairy lights that my sister gave me for Christmas a couple of years ago. Oh, my lovely shawl from Chris. Those tea lights are normally strung. Oh, it's a long way to the top. They're normally strung along here. But The bookcase has been having a major sort out. This shelf now, this is shop stock books. This is all to do with what I'm going to be chatting about today. This pile here, there's a sort of a plastic crate and a bag on top. That's all lavender that has been processed. Beginnings of the scraps, the Liberty fabric scraps for making the lavender bags out of. That's a whole big job. Oh, more books waiting to sort. Oh my giddy goodness. On the radiator I've got some more shop linens. They're dry, I'm just letting them air a bit more. Oh, I need to get to the post office. That's a parcel from my shop to be sent. I've got my little weighing scales out because I am going to be putting some more shop stock into the shop later on, including, oh, isn't this sweet? A little fox in, I don't know if the camera will pick that up, in cross stitch. Isn't that adorable? So that's shop stock, more shop stock to go into the shop. load more shop stock. This was the linens I was working on the other day. Again, they're all dry, but they're just getting their final airing. Love this little bumblebee cushion cover. And then I think I'm going to have to move all this stuff off because I don't think the bed's going to be comfy to chat from. But yes, more books. And the other thing I wanted to show you just very quickly, because I'm going to be talking about this design later on. So I'll have to show you at the ceiling height so you can see the depth. So this built-in cupboard here, you can see how deep it is because it goes back to that wall. When I first moved in here, let's come this way. I'll stand back a bit. Yeah, when I first moved in here, there was no built-in here. There was nothing. Now, the thing about living in a studio flat, you don't necessarily want a wardrobe in the middle of your living room. I mean, it's bad enough having the bed in the middle of your living room, but I thought, well, this is an ideal space, isn't it? So I built this fitted. I didn't build it, I should say. I designed it, did all the measuring, but my friend Richard did all the cutting and the putting together. So I've got a section at the top there which pulls open. I'm not going to pull it open on camera just yet because there are Christmas presents in there. And then these three doors, you can probably guess it's going to be a mess in here. So that's hanging space, hanging space, clutter space, and then sort of two shelves for shoes, and each of these shelves holds 6 pairs of shoes, so there's 12. Actually, there's a few more than 12, I think. This is all going to be dealt with. So that worked out great. And then on this side, just really simple shelving, jumpers, and then knickers and socks, leggings, t-shirts, all the kind of soft stuff. Now, I just did them as shelves because shelves are so much easier and considerably cheaper to build than drawers. That's all worked out great. So, bear this in mind, bear this design in mind, because I'm going to be chatting about it. Right, let's go and clear a chair for me to sit on so I can sit and chat properly, because honestly, sitting cross at the see, look, bubble wrap under the bed, sitting cross-legged on the bed isn't going to work for a chat, so I'm going to get that chair cleared. That's better. Sitting in my lovely little Lloyd loom chair, all the clobbers on the bed now. I love this little chair. I found it, I think it was like £5, cost me £5, but it's really beat up and a really grotty kind of khaki diarrhea green. So I painted it white, put some cushions on it, yay! I'm digressing already. Okay, so this house move, I'm going to say house rather than flat because it's like a house move, but I mean flat move. It's been in the offing for ages. Right back to, I was trying to work it out and remembering where I was. It was the summer of 2018, so 3.5 years ago now. I just want to quickly put something out there because it's been bugging me. I've had a couple of really nasty messages, delete obviously, and I just want to end speculation because it's annoying me. I've had these people, trolls, basically saying, you're only moving because your great aunt has left you this fortune, you plead poverty, but you're not, Okay, yes, my great aunt has left me a bit of money, but it's not a fortune, I can say that straight away. If she'd left me a fortune, do you think I'd be slogging my guts out 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, on a Sunday night with you might have noticed on the end of my sofa, yet again, a pile of darning because my clothes are falling apart. Auntie Teapot's death has not precipitated my move. I am, though, massively grateful for the bit of money she's left me because, like I said, this house move has been planned for ages and I've been saving because I'll have costs. I'll have estate agent costs, I'll have solicitor costs, survey costs, removals company costs. I've been saving for all that. But of course, all of that I'd saved was wiped out in one single fell swoop, pardon me, because of the lease issue on this place. I had to renew the lease in order to sell the flat. And it cost thousands, so it completely wiped me out. So I am so grateful that Auntie Teapot has basically seen me right. It now means I have, once again, some money for all those costs. And hopefully even, I'm going to be I have to be really tight on what I spend when I move, but hopefully there'll be enough left also to buy things like a cooker, a washing machine and a fridge, because all of those appliances here are built in, so I can't take them with me. So yeah, I just want to end that speculation that, you know, I'm sort of playing at poverty. Trust me, I'm not. I don't have any money. Unless I work my tushy off with things like the shop and sewing and producing videos, etc, etc. So good, got that out of the way. So back to 2018, I was up in, so initially when I started looking for somewhere to move to, what had precipitated all of this was I'd had a couple of weeks, really hard weeks, say in the garden and what have you, and my knees were killing me. I'd had a surgery 6 months before to remove the meniscus in the left knee, and initially that felt like it helped in terms of reducing pain. But anyway, I'd had these couple of weeks where I was just in so much pain all the time. I was coming home from the plot, and I'm not being self-pitying about this, by the way, I'm just stating facts. I was getting home and I was just crying. I was just crying. And then the stairs, and I thought, I can't do this. These stairs are killing me. I need to think about moving. And also just from the point of view of having had that surgery and being so far away from family, I feel it's easier to ask family for help than friends sometimes. It feels like I'm imposing. So I'd started to think maybe I need to move to a ground floor flat and probably nearer to where my sister is. I have quite a lot of other family in Yorkshire as well. They've all ended up in Yorkshire. Don't know why. Anyway, well, it's a beautiful place, isn't it? So I was up at my sister's in the summer of 2018, and she lives right up on the North York Moors, on the edge of the North York Moors. So we started chatting about my ideal home, what am I looking for, etc, etc. And it's interesting to think about what my priorities were then and what my priorities are today, and we're going to come on to that. This might be a bit of a long wordy one. Maybe make a cup of tea, put me on pause and make a cup of tea. You know what I'm like once I start chatting. Yes, so for me the main things were I have to have public transport, I don't drive. I have to have a decent high street, and on the high street I would need a post office because my business is all postal. I I want a chemist on the high street. I want a decent greengrocer in case my crops fail. So I was sort of rattling through all these, you know, needs from a high street and saying, you know, ideally I'd like to live by the sea. So there was a day when we whizzed off, it's not too far from my sister, to a town, and I know some of you are going to know it, called Saltburn. If any of you want to look it up, it's S-A-L-T, like salt, B-U-R-N, burn, like you would burn wood, Saltburn. Saltburn on Sea. It's a lovely little coastal town. I was going to say it's North Yorkshire coast, but I think it might be, is it into Cleveland by then? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So we went there for the day to have a mooch around to see, because my sister, when I was sort of rattling off all my requirements, my sister said, I know exactly where you should look. So yeah, we had a lovely day. It's a lovely little old-fashioned seaside town, great high street. It's got its own train station, bus service is brilliant. So I started Googling properties, and at that time, so before I'd gone up to my sister's, I'd had an estate agent come here to give me a value for this flat, so I'd have an idea roughly of what my spending would be. And it was amazing. I found this gorgeous 5-bedroom Georgian house. Absolutely, it's probably one of my, architecturally, pretty much my most favourite type of property. It's beautiful. I'd looked at this by the time I came home, so I sent the details to my sister. I was going, oh my God, look at this, you know, 5 bedrooms, sea views. I was thinking, I can have a spare room, I can have my own bedroom, I can have a bedroom just as a sewing room, I can have another bedroom as my shop room. Oh, getting all excited. Sent the details and she's like, oh my God, you've got to come back, let's go and view it. So did all this excitement, and then it just dawned on me, and I said, hang on a minute, sis, it's Georgian. The thing about Georgian properties is they're quite thin, very, 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 very tall. This property was arranged over, I think it had 4 main floors and a basement floor. It's over 5 floors. I was like, it's all stairs. It's exactly the thing I'm trying to get away from. Anyway, so that was ditched, and all the ground floor properties that I could see in that area, they were all like sort of 1950s, 1960s bungalows, and they're just not my style, not my taste. Look, if push came to shove and that was all I could get, of course I'd be grateful. But why, you know, in the initial days of searching, why would I look at stuff I don't like? That's daft. So then I threw the net a bit wider within Yorkshire and saw a gorgeous property in Thirsk. Again, sent the details to my sister and she was like, get on a train now, I'll book a viewing. It was so cute, and it's just my kind of thing. It was all on the ground floor. It was a converted carpenter's workshop. It was so lovely. Brick building, apex roof that ran the length of the property, and it had been converted, but inside, so they'd exposed all the original beams. Really, really pretty, gorgeous. Within my budget, well within my budget. And Thirsk is a really cute town. One of my cousins lives there. In terms of distance to my sister, she's 2 stops on the train and then a bit of a drive to her place, so she'd still have to pick me up. The buses up there are a bit rubbish. But yeah, it's gorgeous. The only thing was, the front door opened literally straight onto the street. Okay, I've got that here. But then the side of the property, it was on sort of on the end of a row, there was a sort of lane next to it, with no pavement. So my bedroom on the side, like if you're at the front of the property there, this is the main road, the little side road coming down here, my bedroom window would open onto it, my bathroom window would open onto it, the kitchen window would open onto it. It just felt like, firstly, there'd been no privacy. Secondly, it was a really tight lane. I was thinking the house is going to get whacked by trucks trying to get down there. And no outside space, not even space for a single pot of flowers. So I kind of wrote it off for those reasons. Oh, by the way, as well, in all the towns I was looking in, I was checking with local councils to see what allotment provisions they have, because I did think, you know, if I can't get somewhere with a garden, or a decent sized garden, obviously I'll apply for an allotment. What are waiting lists like? But this really beautiful little place in Thirsk, I mean, it was gorgeous, but it was the fact that you couldn't even put a chair outside your own front door to sit in the sunshine because it was the pavement. And like I said, having my bedroom window open onto anyway, yeah. So that was in the summer, and then in the autumn, in the September, we had a little family trip. Me, my sister, my cousin, the one that lives in Thirsk, and his wife. We went down to Dorset, to my grandparents' old village, and I'd been looking at properties down there anyway, but oh my goodness, the prices down there have gone crazy because it's the second homers. I can't bear this. Our villagers are dying because of Airbnb people. They buy a second property, they don't live there, they Airbnb it, and anyway, so vastly out of the range of my purse. But my cousin and I talked because my cousin builds in green oak. He does a lot of green oak sort of barn conversions. He does a lot of heritage restoration work. We started to talk about the idea of me finding a piece of land and building on it. Oh, that would have been so exciting. But, you know, finding land down there, it's impossible. It's just impossible. And I'm glad of that, because let's keep the fields as fields. Long story short, I started looking in Wales as well, because by then Richard and Paul and I, sorry Paul, had become real life friends rather than just virtual friends. And they, you know, every time they were talking about Wales, it just sounded so beautiful, and thinking about my dad and all that, because my dad had died in the spring of 2018, so that was kind of on my mind too. But in the end, I think it was last Christmas, New Year, I went and stayed with the chaps for a few days in our little social bubble still. And we talked at length, they about their move and me about my move. And I'd just come to that realisation that every time I looked somewhere, you know, I'd get excited for a moment, and then the next day I'd wake up and I'd feel anxious about it. And I realised eventually it's because I don't want to leave here. Not like this flat, I have to, but this area. Because pretty much my entire life and community and heart is here. It was such a relief to come to that realisation, because it's like, now I can focus. So coming to the present, this year's been frenetic. It's been beyond frenetic, and I haven't really had much time to think about this move and so many other things to do. But obviously, you know, I've been a bit quieter on social media during November, these last 3 weeks. Oh, my tummy gurgled. Last 3 or 4 weeks or so. That's partly because I'm desperately trying to catch up with a lot of outstanding stuff that's been pushed to the side whilst I've dealt with other things. And also to sort of just change my headspace a bit and start to think about next year instead of dwelling on this past year. And part of that, when did I make this decision? I think it was at the beginning of August. I think it was when I was off work of everything with me chicken pox when I was stuck indoors quarantining myself for those couple of weeks at the beginning of August. Thoughts started whirring, and I was thinking, I'm really excited to move. I'm so excited to see the back of the stairs. I'm scared as well. More of that later, probably not later in this video, but later on. Anyway, and one of my thoughts, or what I started to think about, is when are you going to do it, Vivi? Because I know what I'm like. I'm scared of change. I always used to think I didn't like change. I quite do enjoy change, but I'm quite scared of it. And I was doing that whole thing of, oh, well, I can't move then. That wouldn't be great. If I moved then, that would be really bad timing and da-da-da. And I was doing all this flimmy-flammying around. And then I just had this sort of genius moment of thinking, well, generally in the UK, probably the same everywhere else, there's a good, healthy market for house sales in the spring. So people say, put your property on the market in March. And I was thinking, yeah, but in March, my flat's going to be covered in plants and seedlings. It's going to look a state. And obviously I want to show the flat at its best. Also, I've got those 2 extra freezers in the kitchen, which cramp the space. I'd already decided that when it comes to marketing, I would, thin things out a bit and put some stuff in storage for, a month or so, however long it takes me to show the flat. So I need to put the freezers in storage to open up the kitchen again. And I was thinking, yeah, but in March, there's still going to be quite a lot of food in the freezers, hopefully. So then I thought, well, if I aim for the beginning of May, by the beginning of May, I'm usually starting to get all my plants down to the garden. Now, it usually takes me the whole of May, carrying a few trays or a couple of trays a day. But I was thinking that's the time to maybe call on one of my local friends who's got a car to say, can we do it all in one go? It's only a little trip. By then, the freezers will be, much emptier. I could maybe get it all into one, so get the other freezers into storage. So that's how I came up with the idea. Oh, I just noticed the light. I was looking at the screen, the light on my chin, the light's coming around. That might give us issues. So I kind of came up with this thing in my mind that let's aim for May. Let's aim for the beginning of May to get the flat looking absolutely at its best. I've got a whole snagging is more appropriate, snagging list of little jobs that need doing. I know some folk will say, well, don't bother if you're going to be selling. But, I need to optimise the price I get for this place. I don't want any little thing to A, put someone off buying at all, or B, have people trying to knock me down on the price. I need every penny. So, yes, back in August, I thought, that sounds like a great idea, beginning of May. And these last couple of weeks, when I've been trying to catch up on all sorts of other jobs, I've suddenly thought, crikey, May. It's only 5 and a bit months away. December, January, February, March, April. It's only 5 months away. So, one of the things I've been doing in this time is just trying to plan, just trying to think about everything that needs doing that I'd like to do. When can that be scheduled in? Bearing in mind I still want to have a garden next year, and that takes planning and scheduling. But the other big thing that it's really focused my mind on, and this is what I meant about the space, my wardrobe, in the coming few weeks, there's some videos I'm going to bring to you. Just going back to that, when I was chatting with my sister about what my priorities are, and I was talking about the high street and public transport and da-da-da, I don't need to think about that in this area. I've got it all here. So my attention has turned to what are my priorities for this new property. Well, sorry, bulborygmus at the belly. Obviously, the number one priority is no stairs, no steps, nada, nada, nada. It's all got to be on one level. And I think I'm going to have to move out of this light a bit. Hang on, let's have a little readjust. I can't get over how bright it is today. I think after I've stopped chatting to you lot, I might be diving outside for a bit. Yeah, so that's my priority. It has to be on the flat. And then I was thinking, really, I don't have any other priorities. I'm pretty flexible. You know, if there's garden space, great. I'd like to have, even if it's 3 metres by 3 metres, even if it's the tiniest little backyard, just somewhere where I can put a chair or 2 chairs outside when, you know, when it's summer, lovely, a few pots, what have you. But even that isn't a priority. I've got the allotment. Yeah, so I'm really pretty flexible. But what I have been thinking about in the last few weeks is, especially as my mind was turning to, you know, dressing this flat for showing, but also just my day-to-day living. Like that's why I wanted to show you the chaos. Because, okay, today is particularly manic. It's still all part of this, me trying to get on top of things. The vast majority of the time, you know, there is work out somewhere. There's the shop stock behind the sofa and behind the bed. There's just stuff everywhere. Now, when I move, excuse me, I'm not necessarily looking for more square footage from my new home. Maybe a little bit. Look, the big thing is my life has changed unbelievably in the last 5 years, so hugely. 5 years ago, I was working full time, and this place was, you know, where I'd come to relax, go to bed, make my meals, sometimes entertain friends, but generally, you know, it was a very simple little home. Since then, I've started 4 businesses. I run 4 businesses from this little place. I've got my shop business, I've got my sewing business, I've got my YouTube business, and I've got my farm business. So for example, I'm growing and preserving and storing more food than ever now. Hence, you know, 2 extra freezers. Squash everywhere, just squash everywhere. So, you know, this flat, it just doesn't work for me running 4 different businesses from it. And like I said, not necessarily because of the square footage, but because of storage. Now the problem here is, and it's the thing I love about the flat, is where I've got all my eaves, or the roof eaves, they cut into wall space. So like that whole front side of the living room, bedroom, it's all like that. I can't put anything there. The alcove next to the fireplace, I can't use that alcove. Well, I've got my DVD player and screen in the corner and a little bit of storage underneath. But whereas you'd normally have an alcove, you know, 3 foot wide and you can build shelving into it, mine is, it's like that. There's just no space. So, sorry, there's dust everywhere at the moment because I'm moving things a lot. So it's been really useful actually in the last couple of weeks to sort of think about what's been annoying me, because I am a neat freak. I don't mind dust, but I am a neat freak. And it would be really nice at the end of a day to be able to have things put away neatly, safely, and not have to just see stuff everywhere all the time. So that's one of the reasons I was showing you the wardrobe, the built-in wardrobe, is what I'm hoping is that the property I move to will be a nice Victorian property. And so, for example, in the bedroom, I might have an alcove either side of the fireplace because I won't be in the roof. So not only will I have those complete alcoves, I also won't have one of them being compromised by the eaves of the roof. So that wardrobe there, I can replicate and have either side. And actually, even better, they'll be taller because on the ground floor, the ceilings will be much higher. So I can keep one for my wardrobe, my clothes and what have you. And then the other one, oh, this would be amazing. The other one, purely for shop stuff. So a few shelves for stock, and then the lower shelves for all the packaging materials. Oh, it's my fantasy to have an organised space for all of that. So one of the things I've just started to do, which is why there's loads of books around, is I've made on my own bookcase a dedicated shelf for shop stock books, because previously they were in boxes down under the bed. So every time I had an order, I had to go fishing under the bed, drag the box out, open it, go rooting through the box for one book, close the box up, pack it away, put it back under the bed. You know, ergonomically, it just doesn't make sense. It's kind of, what a stupid way to work. So yeah, that's the fantasy, that in the bedroom I can have these two sort of matching, so it's all very easy on the eye areas. One is me, my clothes and bits and pieces, and the other is work in terms of the shop, packaging, all that kind of stuff. And then it depends. It will depend on the size of bedroom. I was saying the other day, I don't mind if it's tiny, you know, it's just for sleeping in. But if it's a decent sized bedroom, then I can have my sewing table in there and say, you know, okay, at night time I sleep in it, but in the daytime it's my sewing room. That would be lovely. And in terms of putting away things at night so they're not distracting and stopping me from relaxing, I don't mind that in the bedroom. Where I mind it is in the living room. So if I'm, like I was last night, lying on the sofa reading my book, I'm going to talk about books at some point. I'm loving this one at the moment. One more croissant for the road. Fab. Yeah, last night I was reading and, you know, I got really immersed in the book, and then every now and again I put the book down to just let the thoughts, what I've just read, just meander in my mind. And I put it down and I'd be like, oh, God, look at the mess, look at the work. Oh. And it's like it's a sort of a constant reminder of my to-do list. It's a physical to-do list right in front of my eyes. So yeah, gosh, I've been rambling, haven't I? But I'm excited, I'm daunted, all that kind of stuff. But it's been really useful, like I said, in the last few weeks. The other thing that's occurred to me, having two alcoves, yay, in the bedroom for storage. So like I said, I'm not necessarily looking at more square footage. I don't think I can afford it particularly, but just more canny in terms of higher ceilings, more storage. And the other thing that I've been thinking quite a bit about in the last couple of weeks is the kitchen in terms of cupboards and storage space in there. Because over the years, I've accumulated loads more Tupperware. I could probably do with a bit more. Loads of jam jars and various jars and da-da-da. And I end up with stuff on the counters because there's no space in the cupboards. So again, it's been really useful. I've started to make a list. Some people may think this is crazy, but you know, I think it's for me, it's useful. I've started to make a list of what each cupboard in my fantasy new place would contain. And that's great because it gives me an idea of what sort of space I'm looking for. I'm probably, with my budget, going to need to buy a doer-upper. So it'll probably be a case of whatever kitchen is in there will be ripped out and replaced. But having these thoughts now will help me to picture exactly what I would need just to make life a bit smoother each day. So that, for instance, the other day I had my boiler serviced. Oy vey. The plug, the power switch is right down towards the floor in the back of the cupboard where I keep Tupperware and jam jars, etc., etc. I have a really great relationship with my boiler guy. When he came up to do the service, I said, "Oh, I'm moving." I don't know how we got into the subject. I said, "I'm moving next year." And he was like, "Oh, we're going to miss you." I said, "No, I'm staying in the area. You're still going to be my boiler man." He was like, "Brilliant. I'll do you a little safety certificate for when you leave here, and you let me know and I'll come and survey the next place for you." I love him so much. Anyway, yeah, back to the boiler service day. I mean, he laughed because he knows me by now, but we literally had to, it was just this spewing out of the cupboard of jam jars and Tupperware and bits of baking kit. It was just a mess, just so you could get into the back to flick a switch. Yeah, so I've been thinking about that as well. The kitchen storage, food storage, shop storage, everything storage. Great. And the other thing I've been thinking about, and this is what we're going to go on to in December. I'm going to bring you on this little journey with me. If you want to, you may not be interested, but I'm going to have a massive sort out, chuck out. As you've seen, I've started to do with my books. I'm going to be pretty ruthless because I don't want to be boxing up and moving stuff and paying to have stuff moved that I really can let go of now. Let's start letting go of stuff. You know, there'll be a ton of stuff for charity, but the other thing is, you know, with some of my books, there's the clothes under the bed in the suitcase, can't wait to show you. I'm never going to fit in them again. They're from my really skinny days, from the days when I was too skinny. I need to start selling this stuff. Get it sold so I don't have to move it. Get it sold because, like I'm saying, I need every single penny I can get my hands on, or every single pound I can get my hands on at the moment, because, you know, there are costs involved in all of this. And then for when I get to the new place, like I said, you know, buying a washing machine, buying a cooker, buying fabric to make curtains, if I haven't got suitable fabric here, there are going to be costs. So yeah, let's make it all part of the next, 5 months? That's really scary. The next 5 months, clear stuff out, get it sold if it's something that I can sell, get it donated to charity if it's something that, you know, is of not enough value for me to bother spending all that time uploading it onto eBay, that sort of thing. Reduce what I need to move. And then when I do get to my new place, less clobber that I've been hanging on to for years, is more space for me to store other stuff like, I'm in the wrong part of the room, other stuff like fabric, beautiful things that are useful, that I use. So I think in the next, like I say, in the next couple of weeks or so, I'm going to crack into this. The aim will be in the next few weeks to go through literally every single item in my life, decide whether I'm keeping it, decide whether it's going to charity, or decide if it's something to sell. The reason I want to do this all now is the stuff that can go to charity, great, get it out straight away. The stuff that I think I want to sell, okay, let's get it all together in one place so I can just sort of visualise quite how much there is and the sort of time involved to get things onto eBay, for example. And then by doing it now, I can think to myself, okay, over the next 4 months, because it'll be 4 months by then, the aim will be to maybe say get 10 items onto eBay every week. If I do it like that, rather than trying to do the whole lot in one go, which would be daunting or could be daunting, if I say to myself just 10 items a week onto eBay, that shouldn't interfere too much with my schedule so that I can still be doing my shop stuff, my YouTubing, my fixing the flat. Everything's got to come out the kitchen, that's going to be redecorated, I am a planner, that's what I do. And, you know, a couple of weeks ago when I suddenly realised how soon next year will be upon us. This year has flown, it's crazy. When I realised how quickly next year is coming around, I thought, you know what, you need to start getting on this, girl. You need to get on it now. Don't be leaving it till the last minute, you mare. So, yeah, the more I do now in the lead up to, say, Christmas, in terms of getting myself organised, the better, because then hopefully what it means is, like I say, going into next year, I can do all my normal stuff, but also slot in moments to do all this extra stuff. Can't wait. Check in with me next March. I'll be like, oh God, I want to do a gardener. No, I'm sure I won't be. Well, no, maybe I will. Maybe I'm going to have little melty down moments. But yeah, it's good to make a start. It's good to think about, you know, how do I rationalise all of this for a smoother existence when I move? What are my priorities? My priorities, I've come to realise, are I want a ground floor flat with either with storage or the possibility for building storage. I need alcoves. Just give me alcoves. I'll be a happy girl with alcoves. Never mind a garden. I just want alcoves. All right, lovelies. I think I've probably been on one far too long today. If you stuck with me till the end, thank you. I feel like I should have prize givings for anyone who sticks to the end. No, I do appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And yeah, it's all good. Busy, always busy. And like I said, over the next couple of weeks, as I start to do all this, I think I will bring you along with me, because I think I'm going to talk about all sorts of aspects of this clutter busting. And hopefully, I think by sharing it, hopefully it might help some of you. Not even necessarily if you're moving house, but just if you realise, yeah, you're getting a little bit swamped and you need some help. So we can do it together. Fab. All right, lovelies, I'll see you again really soon, I hope. Maybe some garden time. It's really cold at the moment and I'm just really enjoying being at home, getting on with things at home. So yeah, maybe a garden visit, who knows, whatever. I'll see you then. But until then, please look after yourselves, look after each other, and just have joy, moments of joy in whatever it is that you're up to. Cheerio.